Yeah, I'm Theocharis Grigoriadis. I'm Professor of Economics and East European Studies at Freie Universität Berlin, and my main research interests cover political economy and economic history. So I'm interested in questions such as culture and economic development in historical and comparative perspective. I'm interested also very much on the role of migration processes in political development, again both historical and contemporary episodes, and also I very much care about the role of natural resources in political economy. So you know very well that this discussion, which has been a very important one the last 10 years, the last 15 years in economics on the impact of religion on economic outcomes, started in reality more than a century ago by the famous German sociologist Max Weber, who basically identified Protestantism as the source of German economic development, or Northern German or even Prussian economic development. So he argued that the Protestants are more wealthy than the Catholics in Northern Germany. So economists and social scientists have taken this question, and I have worked on this, to think comparatively and to think also a bit more about how this may be the case and what can be the channels that transmit the impact of religious norms into contemporary economic and political behavior. Because of course a very important aspect that we need to take into account is that religions exist before states. So precede the concept, the modern concept of the state, which arose in Europe in the early modern period. So, and of course, my answer would be yes. In my opinion, religion matters for economic growth in a series of ways. First of all, religion, and with my answer I can give you the mechanisms through which religion may impact economic behavior. First, it has to do with labor market participation. In some religions, women go earlier into the labor market because they are educated at the same time with men. In some religions, women go a bit later. So, for example, women's education in Protestant societies, for example, has always been much more advanced than in Orthodox or in Muslim societies. So girls in Protestant societies and also in Jewish societies are treated as have been treated as completely equal to boys from the beginning, whereas in Orthodox, Catholic or Muslim societies this has not been the case from the beginning. So, which of course is bad for the economy, because when you keep women as housewives and only mothers, the economy is losing because they are not putting their skills into work. So this is one aspect of religion. So, and I always in my research I have proposed this classification between individualist and collectivist religions. So individualist religions are Protestantism and Judaism, and collectivist religions are Catholicism, Orthodoxy and Islam. So of course each of those five religions have their own specificities, but I think this dichotomy that I propose is correct. So, and also another aspect, another mechanism in addition to female participation into the labor force could be the way that the state is organized, the way that the state is providing public goods, the dependence from public goods. In collectivist societies, in societies that are Catholic, or Muslim or Orthodox, the citizens have an inclination to be much more dependent on the public goods offered to them by the state compared to individualist societies, Protestant or Jewish style societies. So these are two specific ways through which religions and religion in general matters for economic development. In my opinion, a political system is also like a marketplace, right? So in the market we have companies that compete with each other to maximize their profits. In the political process or a political system we have parties or organizations that compete with each other to maximize social and citizen support. So my argument is that some religions are more market inclined and therefore more democracy inclined. And some religions are more anti-market inclined and therefore more authoritarianism inclined. Exactly this goes to my distinction between individualist and collectivist religions that I told you before. I argue that Protestant and Jewish religious beliefs are more pro-market than Catholic, Orthodox and Muslim religious beliefs. Of course, one can disagree, because, for example, in Islam, you have Sunni Islam and Shia Islam. Shia Islam is much more vertical than Sunni Islam, which is much more decentralized. But at the same time, when you observe the empirical reality around the world, you find many more dictatorships among countries with Muslim, Orthodox or Catholic majorities than with Protestant or Jewish majorities. So I think this has to do with religion being connected also with specific cultural norms, the idea of the family, how important is the family as an economic unit. In our cultures, I grew up as an Orthodox, so in Greece, so we know very well, and also in Uzbekistan it's the same. Family is the first thing, the most important social institution. And of course this may have some consequences on the political system as well, because we are much more inclined to be much more centralizing compared, for example, to Protestant families that are not so strong. I don't think that religion and growth are mutually exclusive. I think it depends what kind of religious norms we're talking about. We have also Saudi Arabia, which is apparently very religious and very rich. I think that, as I said, I don't think that religion and economic growth are mutually exclusive. You can be religious and also be an individual. I mean, if we take it at the level of the individual, that is skill accumulating and wealth producing. At the same time, I think that when it comes to the level of the society, I think it depends on the extent to which religion is a hindrance to education, is a hindrance to social trust, to the formation of social capital, and therefore good economic outcomes. I mean, in many of the cases you may think religion is oftentimes instrumentalized by governments to keep people out of politics, but this is not necessary. This does not have to be the case. For example, Catholicism is a collectivist religion, and the Catholic Church, as you know, was very important for the struggle against communism in Poland and Hungary, right? So, I mean, these were religious people that were fighting communism, and they wanted capitalism, and they wanted to become richer. So we do have examples. So I would say opposite. But of course, we also have examples, as you mentioned, of very religious societies that use religion as an excuse not to study, not to go to the university, not to leave the village and come to the city where they have more opportunities and better jobs. I mean, yes, in that case you have religion and underdevelopment moving in the same direction. But in other cases, no. I think Uzbekistan can definitely profit. I mean, we live in times where, of course, the Global South is rising, and the Global South does not only have poor countries, it has also rich countries like Turkey and Saudi Arabia. I mean, or at least G20 countries, if the term rich only pertains to the OECD. But at the same time, I think that the West and the experience of Uzbekistan in its independence period, when it comes to the West, has been very positive. So I think yes to both, actually, because I think that one can develop then its own economic model. The Uzbek government can develop an economic model that combines both the cultural characteristics of the Uzbek people and at the same time is at the core of Western developments. So with strong universities like New Uzbekistan University, so human capital is a very important part of a strong development strategy. And the formation of human capital in universities that are elite producing and high standard places is super important. So human capital formation, innovation, and of course also the identification of those cultural norms that can be combined with what I have just told you.